Hello and welcome to episode 583 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Join me as always is the glorious LeagueFreak. You can also find on Twitter at LeagueFreak. How you going there, mate?
Going well, Andrew. Hope you're going well and all our listeners are going well. It's been good to have the footy back.
I mean, for you too, it's been good to have the Formula One back.
Yeah.
You've basically become a Formula One commentator now.
Yeah, well, it was bound to happen. The Formula One sucked, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
We will. We'll save that. We'll save that carrot for the end.
Yeah.
Speaking of sucking, there's a lot of blowouts in the NRL this week.
Yeah, it was funny. Every time that there was a scoreline that had any sort of difference between the two teams, I got a bunch of fucking soap dodgers texting at me saying, this is what you were saying was bad about Super League. It's like, oh my God, can you put some context on it? Fucking morons. But, typical. There were some close games. We had 2 golden point games. I think that, there were some circumstances in there that didn't help. I mean, Brisbane having no preseason and then facing a Panthers team that had their first preseason in 6 years was one of the issues that we had. The Titans' general existence, that was another problem that we've got in the NRL.
But I was going to say, we should dive in on the Broncos one, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are kind of thinking that it's all over for the Broncos, and, there's some negative commentary there.
Michael Maguire's lost the change rooms.
I know, and that's
when was the last time that he had them going well at all, even?
I mean, yeah. They've not performed well for at least a month now.
Yeah.
So I did watch that Broncos versus Panthers game. Mm-hmm. And I think the only real takeaway I've got from it is the way the rules now work. They really, really do benefit teams who, I'd say, probably get on the scoreboard first, because they can kind of control momentum a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw that across the week. A lot of people are talking about set restarts and stuff like that. But as a bit of a gut feel, it feels like once you get in front or you're on a roll, it seems easier to keep that going more than it did in the past.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we started to see, because with the Broncos, we saw them having proper structured attack, even though they weren't able to score. And that's a credit to the Panthers' defense, not the Broncos' attack. But they had structured attack, but they weren't getting close enough to properly threaten the Panthers' line. Then in the second half, when the scoreboard started getting away from them, they ran away from structured attack because they were chasing lots of points.
Mm.
And lots of points is just 3 tries. I mean, that's a lot of points against a team that defends like Penrith.
Yeah.
May as well be 45 or something like that. And so they threw away that structured attack. And this is where, and you mentioned it in the last episode, this is where Reece Walsh falls apart.
Yeah, and I mean, I've never seen him be shut out of a game like he was against Penrith, ever. He just had zero involvement in the game. It was really kind of shocking to see. These 6 again calls that we're seeing, and look, it's week 1. Plenty of teams didn't look at their best, and you shouldn't be at your best at this time of the year. And I think that carried in through the refereeing. There was a lot of pretty terrible refereeing this first week of the NRL season. Hopefully it gets better. I know that the Broncos are going to get better. I've got no problems with the Broncos still having a great year this year. I just think that when I looked at them, they look like a team that was short of a run. They look like a team that didn't have a preseason. And, the Panthers, I don't think the Panthers were anywhere near their best, but they'll be right. The Broncos will get it right.
The Panthers' defense was close to, if they stay at that level all year, they're going to be the best defensive team of the year. So their defense was on song.
Yeah. Their mobility really troubled the Broncos, super badly. And, if they'd managed to hold on to the ball a little bit better, Papali dropped the ball 5 or 6 times.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, it's a terrible game for him. But they probably would have put the screws to the Broncos a bit earlier in that game. But the only thing that really stood out for me that the Broncos really would be worried about, I reckon, is the mobility of the Panthers pack. And look, that's one of the reasons why matchups between these two teams are so good, because you've got a big pack in Broncos, and they've got some guys in that pack of theirs that can play long minutes. And then you've got this Panthers pack that's very mobile and has pretty good depth. So, they say styles make fights in boxing, and I think it's a lot like that when you get to the pointy end of the season in rugby league season. And I think that's why these clashes between Penrith and Brisbane are normally pretty good. But just in this case, it was just circumstances, unfortunately. And it must have been a real downer for Broncos fans, because the last game they got to see against quality opposition was the grand final. And all of a sudden, it's like they're coming home. They've got a big crowd, 45,000 people there, and the Panthers just sort of strangled their NRL champions on home soil. And it must have not been real nice at all for the Broncos fans. But they'll have things to be looking forward to as the season goes on, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to lose a game, it's not atrocious to lose it to the Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers first week. If you were to set up circumstances any time in the last 5 years and said the Panthers have the perfect off season, that they haven't lost any players and they can have a full off season, and you literally haven't had a proper off season, go. What's going to happen? People would have said, well, the Panthers are going to strangle you to death in round one. And that's what we saw. And, at least it happened in round one.
That's right. Look, the only criticism I'll have of the Broncos in that is I think both their halves were missing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get a huge amount of go forward from dummy half either.
No.
And that was a problem. And Walsh was absent, which meant the whole spine was locked out of the game.
Yeah.
Defensively, they weren't bad.
No.
When you consider there was a try that came from an intercept, and another one that was against an unset backline with both those tries to what's his name, the winger, scored
Jennings.
2 tries. Jennings.
Jenkins.
No,
sorry.
Jenkins. Yeah, he scored 2 tries, and both of his tries were kind of against they were against an unset defensive line.
Mm.
And if you take those away, you're looking more closer to what the actual scoreline probably should have been, which is close to about 14-0. I don't think the Broncos were soundly flogged.
No.
I think it was a little bit closer than that. Penrith, though, they deserve to get a win of 26-0 on the board because they didn't do much wrong. The only criticism I've got is the centre wing combination on To'o's side.
Mm.
That was it Alamotti and To'o?
Well, Alamotti was having a couple of issues here. Like there was a couple of times where they looked like they were going to, break the Broncos open on that side of the field, and there was just, passes didn't stick and things like that. But
that was clunky, that combination.
Yeah, and look that's the thing. This always happens in the first round of the season with every single team. So. There's no reason to panic for for some teams. For other teams in the NRL, it's pretty clear they're well off the pace. But yeah, Penrith weren't at their best. The Broncos were far from their best, but I think they'll both be fine. I would say that I think looking at the Panthers, they're definitely gonna be in for a good season. I think that there were some people who were thinking that maybe they would kind of have a season similar to last year where they were still pretty good, but they weren't one of the top sides. I never thought that was going to be the case. I always thought they were going to be one of the best sides this year, and I think that they showed that that's going to be the case.
Oh, definitely. Last year they had, and we spoke about this last year, and they had a season where they finally had their halves broken up that had been the backbone of everything they did.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to rebuild their attack, their defensive structure. Everything had to change because of the loss of Luai. And it took them a year, well, just less than a year, but they've had a full off season together to really work on that. And you could see that they looked so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. both halves actually looked like they knew each other, and they were both playing actual halves football. It wasn't just Cleary doing it all on his own with just a ball runner on the other side of the field.
Yeah, and look, Blaze Talangi looks very strong. He looks like he's grown a little bit.
Yeah, he's also picked up, like, his kicking game has improved out just remarkably in the off season. So they've finally got that sorted out. They're going to be very, very tough to beat. Their attack is going to be really strong this year, as well as their defense. That defense looks like it's gone back to what it was 2 or 3 years ago, which is scary. Yeah,
I think the only thing I worry about for their defense is how their extended bench, if they've got the depth, because in the past they had an absolutely ridiculous amount of depth. When they're at the best, their depth was crazy. It's about being able to bring in players off the bench that can step in and be at that same high quality level. And, that's something that you've got to judge over the course of a number of weeks rather than just in one game. I think that they'll be all right. They made a lot of recruitments in terms of getting forwards. It was from the New Zealand Warriors lower grades, actually. And so I think that if we can see some of those players come through and get their chance in first grade, and we'll see if they can fill in some of the voids that have been left from players that they've lost in previous seasons. Because, you've definitely got to have depth over the course of the whole season, because you're going to lose players. Everyone's going to lose players.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to just quickly address the elephant in the room, and that is the blowout scores in round one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did a little bit of, you know me, did a bit of looking at stats and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I wanted to try and find out just how bad the round one was. Like, was it a massive blowout or was it not so bad? And I found out that round one this year, it was just the sixth time in the NRL New South Wales Rugby League history, going back to 1908, where the average winning margin was 20 points or more per game.
Oh, wow.
The record, 1971. The average margin then, this is back when they had 3-point tries. The average margin in round one there was 26.3.
Wow.
2002 was 24.29. 1937, 23.25. 1996, 22.75. 1983, 22.43. And 2026, 20 points per game.
So, they can't all be winners. Sometimes you're just going to have a bad round, I guess. So, and as I said, there was some circumstances there. I mean, I look at, say, the Warriors versus Roosters match, and the Roosters were extremely ill-disciplined.
How bad were they? I mean, let's be honest. The Warriors had both halves out injured, and they had their prominent forward out injured, and one of their backs out injured. And the Roosters never looked like threatening them. It was like they turned up going, yep, we've got this in the bag. Some teams just turn up and they look like they've done that. And they're just going through the motions going, yeah, we'll win this. And they never got into that game. They were out-enthused and outplayed.
Yeah, look, I wasn't super shocked by how different their ability to go with the Warriors was. I think the Warriors will make the finals, and I don't think the Roosters will. And one of the big problems that the Roosters have is two of their key players in DCE, and their captain at fullback, their combined age is 70. That's not good. So Tedesco, he's been getting slower and slower as the last few years, and that's fine. He's getting older. But when you've got two players that are real key for that team and they combine for that age, it's that's not great. DCE is a halfback, and they're trying to play with two halfbacks. I think we talked about this last week, where you get 2 5/8s or two halfbacks, and they try and make it work. And there's a reason why we don't have that in rugby league. It's just never really worked, and it looked that way for the Roosters. And I wasn't super surprised that they looked that bad. I kind of think that they're going to be the sort of team that they'll have games where they look pretty good, but against the better teams, they won't look that good. And, I expect the Warriors will make the finals. They've got pretty good depth. They've got a good forward pack. They're not a bad team.
Yeah, look, I don't see that Tedesco is going to be falling away as quickly as DCE has in the last 18 months.
No.
So I'm less concerned about him. I think DCE's, if he doesn't find form in the next 2 or 3 games, he doesn't have to find his elite level form. He just needs to find reliable playmaker form and can start steering this team around and look like he's in control and not off the pace. If he can do that, then he'll be fine. But if he struggles to do it in the next 2 to 3 weeks, when he should be at his freshest, given they've just come off an off season, I'd be very concerned.
Yeah. And look, he's 37.
Yeah, he's got every right to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah. It'd be weird if he wasn't, really. If he was completely fine and he's 37, we'd be like, what the hell's going on here? But, and don't say his name.
That's the first thing I thought. No.
He's not a natural. He's not a completely natural athlete like some guys that played very late in their career. But
maybe he could move to lock.
Maybe he could move to the front row and play for 80 minutes and make 60 tackles and fucking 300 meters. That'd be really strange.
That'd work.
Yeah, like it's. I found it weird that the Roosters wanted DCE. I just didn't think that he fit in with their time frame. I could see if he went to certain clubs where, they felt they were pretty close to a premiership and maybe you could use a guy with his experience because your other halfback was already dominant, or your other 5'8" was dominant. There were certain circumstances that would have worked. I just didn't think that the Roosters were one of those circumstances. I think DCE would have been interesting if he had gone to, say, the Canberra Raiders, actually, where he could have given them some experience in halves and actual winning experience as a halfback as opposed to Fogarty last year, who, he has never had any experience in the finals that's winning experience. That would have been a good move for him. Or if he'd gone, say, somewhere like the Melbourne Storm, if they'd have had Hughes out for a certain amount of time to start the season, I think that a circumstance like that would have been right for him. I didn't necessarily think that the Roosters were the right circumstance for him. And he'll do his best, but I just think he's not going to be in that great of a team.
Yeah, that's fair. It was just a weird signing, especially when you had Zavala there, and he looked like he was kicking along really well and picking up his abilities really fast.
Yeah, and we talked about it last year. Like if you've got a dude that steps in the first grade in the halves and it works, don't change anything.
Yeah.
The problem that the Roosters have is that they've got Walker, who's their golden boy, and they just think that he's just amazing, and they needed somebody alongside of him, and they picked DCE, and I just don't get it. But there's a lot of decisions that the Roosters have made in recent years that I don't understand. So, it's par for the course for them. I just like to see when, after the games, Robinson's in front of the media and he acts like he knows everything and everything's under control and everything went exactly the way he expected it to. It's like, mate, really? Like, your team is slowly getting worse and worse as time goes on, as you've got them, I know he's won premierships in the past, but shouldn't he be building something rather than it just slowly fading away?
This is the interesting thing is that, remember, was it 2013? The Roosters, I think they finished last or second last. And he recognised that he had an ageing squad and he needed to do just a mass clean out and bring through a bunch of players as quickly as possible and just have a bad season in 1 year just to do all of that. And he did it. It was brilliant. Like, he had just 1 year. It wasn't atrocious either, but they didn't, they weren't getting flogged 60 lot and whatnot. But he did that. He made that change. He was quick. He was clinical. It was fast. And then the next year they were back in the finals. And they stayed there. And this time around, the same opportunities come along and he's gone, Now, let's lean into it a little bit. Let's see if we can get someone older into the team. And it just feels like maybe he's going through the motions. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And we've talked about how he doesn't really have the ability to make adjustments in games that they're losing. So, we'll see. I tell you what, the Warriors just ran through them. It was amazing by the Warriors, and their fans must be pretty pumped up. Like if you can do that with a couple of key players missing, like it's a really good sign. And that's something that in the past the Warriors have really struggled with, where they'll lose a couple of key players and the team just completely falls on its face. Well, that didn't happen in this game, so maybe they've turned a corner in that regard, and we'll see. We'll see how they go. As I said, I think they'll make the finals. I think that they've got the depth in their forwards, particularly, which will get them to the finals.
Yeah, they've got a good pack, and that's key nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other game you mentioned too was the Titans against the Sharks, and they got done. What was it, 52-10 or 50-10, whatever it was. At the end of the day, the Sharks, if they're going to be a team that wants to prove that they deserve to be at the top end of the ladder, and they do, then this is how they need to play these games. They need to go against these teams that they should be beating, and they need to put the sword to them. Stop fucking around and stop, trying to be fancy and stuff and cute, and just put them to the sword and get the job done. And you can sit there and say, at the end of the day, they were against a weaker team, and they should have won it anyway. Going, yeah, you should win that. Don't try and decry the fact that they beat a team that they should have beaten.
Yeah, they did the job they had to do. And
what do you want them to do?
Yeah, and look, the Titans were terrible. We knew they were going to be terrible. They've done half a clean out of the club. You can't do it all at once because of the salary cap, and players have contracts, and not everyone is like a certain idiot that looks to get out of his contract and earn less money elsewhere. And
also, how massive that clean out had to be.
Yeah, it's literally, there's only, maybe 2 or 3 players in that Titans side you would want to hold on to be honest.
Yeah.
And so we knew they were going to have a terrible season, and they started off really terribly, and it's going to be a long, long, long season for Titans fans, but it's going to be at least that they can look towards next season and hope that it'll get better. And one thing you would like to see is the Titans maybe bring some young dudes in as the season goes on and give them some first grade experience, and see if some of their youngsters have, got what it takes to show that they belong in first grade for any length of time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the Sharks just did what they had to do. And at home, the only thing that really stood out for me with the Sharks is that their crowd was pretty small, even though their stadium's small. And you just can't keep doing that. Like every other team is getting bigger stadiums and bigger crowds, and there's only so long you're going to be able to survive with a small stadium with getting small crowds.
Did you see the article from, was it the Daily Telegraph about
No.
what one of the reasons might have been?
No.
All right, well, brace yourself, okay.
I'm trying to think of what a reason could have been. Like, I know it wasn't the best weather, but it was fine.
No, see, you're thinking too small, too local, with too much logic.
No, come on, man. Don't.
They put out an article this week,
right?
That said they took a photo too. We got evidence, of a chair at the Sharks Stadium,
right?
That had bird poo on it, and the article was bird poo on a chair in a stand for a $2,500 membership seat at Shark Park. They're making it like it was the Sharks were having some sort of a failure, and this is some big problem. I mean, who would have thought?
The newspaper?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Who would have thought that a football stadium with nothing but blue sky above it, where birds fly, might actually end up with a bit of bird poo falling on one of the seats at some stage? Flabbergasted.
Can you imagine being the editor of a newspaper and someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I've got a story," and you're like, "All right, what's it about?" "Oh, it's a game at Shark Park." "Oh, that's interesting. This is going to blow the lid off the whole sport."
It's from Code
There's a-
NRL. This is what
That's that
2,500 gets you at Shark Park. Premium seats covered in bird poo. And then there's a link to the story. It's just got a photo of seat number 3 with a little bit of bird poo on it. And I replied to it with, who would have thought that a roofless stadium might end up with a seat getting bird poo on it? Is this journalism now? Will the follow-up story be how a Sharks employee spent just $6.50 in 3 minutes to save the Sharks thousands by wiping poo off a seat? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's funny because, sometimes I'll see their adverts on YouTube and they'll be like, "Code Sport, we're all about the big stories in sport." And it's like, that's the big stories? What the fuck?
Yep.
Wow.
That's it.
That's crazy, man. No wonder I don't pay any attention to the mainstream corporate media anymore. That's fucking incredible.
I just went, that's a trend. Like, if you wanted to go out and do something negative about any club, you can find something without digging too hard. That has got to be the most pathetic, pointless effort to try and do something negative about a club. I don't care what club it is. Bird poo on a seat.
That would be like, I'm trying to think, that's like doing a story about, why aren't crowds going to a certain stadium? And it's like, well, where you park your car, I got dirt all over my shoes walking from the car to the stadium. And that's going to really put people off. It's
there was a small pothole near the entrance to the to the car park.
When I was walking along the concourse, there was a little bit of concrete, and I kind of tripped a little bit, and I could have hurt myself.
I had to stand in the queue to go to the toilet for about 35 seconds more than I actually wanted to. Like, what the fuck?
That's crazy, hey?
It's just atrocious.
Yeah.
Abysmal. And they charge people for that sort of journalism.
Yeah, you got to subscribe to read it.
Yeah, so, that must be the very first seat in an open-air stadium that ever got bird poo on it. So shame on you, Cronulla.
How dare they?
You filthy club.
How dare they?
Fuck me. Right, so we got the big story out of the way.
Yeah.
What else was going on in the Water Rugby League?
Well, we had the fucking hilarious story today where Zach Lomax he had a big press conference and he talked about how his goal, it's been his goal for since 9:30 this morning, is to play International Rugby Union, and so he signed for the Western. Are they called Western? Yeah, Western Force.
Who knows?
It doesn't really matter.
Did he say the line? Like a truly global competition?
I think they put out a press release saying that truly international sport or something.
Yeah, they love that. They say the line.
Yeah.
Say the line.
Yeah, and so he signed for a lot less money than he was on at the Eels last year to play for a team that I didn't even know fucking existed anymore in rugby union in the most isolated city on planet Earth. So things are really looking up for Zach Lomax. And he said that he's committed to the next 2 years at wherever the fuck he is right now.
Excuse me.
It's like, and the funny thing was seeing how many people, when it was announced on Twitter, just fucking made fun of it. It was great to see.
Oh, it was dumb. So John Dean put out a tweet today, which I thought was brilliant because he said, Lomax could have been on $850,000 a year with the Dragons if he stayed on that contract that he initially signed. But he quit that to take up a $650,000 a year deal with the Eels, which he also quit to now sign a $350,000 a year with the Force.
Yeah.
He's just thrown away $500,000.
Yeah. Brilliant.
To play on a truly global stage.
Yeah. No one will give a fuck. Like, I bet he feels like a big fucking star over there in Perth when 1,500 people are watching him run around with a bunch of fat guys.
In a time when we're all being impacted by inflation, Zach Lomax is going around and he's starting inflation.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's, everything costs more except Zach Lomax. That's incredible. Zach Lomax is like a fucking meme coin, you know?
He is, actually. That's brilliant.
He's not even Doge. He's like the whatever knockoff of Dogecoin there was.
Zach Lomax is crypto.
He got paid. Zach Lomax managed to pump and dump himself.
That's the episode title.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down.
Even the fucking hot tour girl was like, "Man, that's fucking rough."
That was bad. I can't believe how. At the end of the day, if I was that player, if I was Zach Lomax's manager,
yeah,
I'd just say to him, "Do not mention my name anywhere, ever, because I will sue you for $350,000."
you know what? People have bagged his manager, and I don't know who his manager is, right? But I would imagine his manager has been putting like things in front of him, and then on top of that, saying like you'd be walking away from a lot of money. And the problem his manager has is that he kind of has to go with what his client wants. You know?
I know.
And so, he's like, "Are you sure you want to walk away from this much money?" And he's like, "Yeah, the next thing we'll make more money on the next thing. Trust me." And so there's only so much you can do. You can't force your client to do something he doesn't want to do. So it's all been Zach Lomax's decisions. And I think that's probably the problem that Zach Lomax has.
Mate, it's one of many problems he has. My God, he's nearly every single other player that's left the NRL to go to the rugby union, they've done it to get extra money. Lomax has broken the mold. Well, anybody who wants to go and play rugby for less money than they're currently on, he's now set that path for them.
Yeah,
he's a trailblazer.
It's very, very short. I mean, he didn't even go to one of the rugby union teams rugby union people want to fucking play for.
That's right.
He just went to wherever he could get. So it was kind of funny to see. And that, I mean, their press conference was like a wet fart. Like no one cared. And all I saw was people just making fun of it. And the funny thing is there'll be some rugby union writer right now that'll be like, "Oh, this is just a sign about rugby league and rugby." And it's like, dude, this is the, I mean, I made an analogy in the direct messages today, which I thought was pretty good that I can't say on the podcast. And it just, he just has to he's just got to hope that no one sees what he's done.
No, too late. I see some rugby union fans said Zach Lomax brings out a who's who in the Australian rugby landscape. And our podcast Twitter account came out with Zach Lomax brings out a who in the Australian rugby landscape.
Yeah.
Who are these people in the picture other than Lomax? Who's there?
Yeah, exactly. Who fucking knows?
I thought it was 3 politicians. And I thought maybe he was announcing he was about to join the Liberal Party. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe that's what he's doing next month when he cancels this contract.
Yeah, he'll be off somewhere else. He'll find whatever. Like, I think that it's just a case of like getting some keys and shaking them in front of him and being like, "Oh, look at this, Zach," and he'll be like, "Oh, I'll go and do that." And I think you could probably get him to do all sorts of things.
It's funny. He's like one of those reverse auctions, where you've got to try and bet the lowest price.
Yeah.
So what you should do is you should hit him up and say, "You know what, Zach, I'll give you $1 if you come and do my gardening." You'll come out with a press conference. "I've taken up a new 3-year deal for $3 to do the gardening at Freaky's house."
You're not supposed to treat your rugby league career like you're putting in the lowest bid on Fiverr. So good luck to him. I mean, he's really shaken up the fucking landscape of player movement. You got to say that.
Maybe his play manager is one of those Lalua brothers. Remember how good they were with numbers?
Yeah, they were rough with the numbers as well. But man, it was funny to see. Another bit of news that come out just this evening is that Kalyn Ponga is making himself available for New Zealand because they changed the state of origin eligibility rules, so he can now play for New Zealand and still play for Queensland. So we'll see how that goes. It'd probably mean a lot more if he actually finished fucking rugby league seasons in the last few years, but
and played decent footy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he even gets to the World Cup and if New Zealand picks him. But he did that today, so there was a little bit of an announcement around that. Another thing that made news this week is that people started to cotton on to the fact that Penrith's new $300 million stadium upgrade includes only half of a roof on one of the stands.
Well, let's be honest, it's half as generous.
Yeah, it's very generous.
You know, I just thought of it. You know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
The shelters at bus stops. So I don't know if it's the same in Sydney. Okay, it's been a while since I used any public transport there, but in Melbourne, they have these shelters here, and the roof is like really high. It's probably about 3 meters high, but it's only about 2 foot wide. So when it starts raining or if it's really sunny, it does absolutely fucking nothing. You may as well just put a pole there with nothing on it. It does the same thing, and that's what their rooftop looks like. It just sticks out a little bit. Maybe 3 seats underneath each bit will stay dry.
It's like this. It's like the stadium. It's like the top of the stadium has eyebrows. It's not really a roof. It's just like little eyebrows sticking out. If you're sitting in the very top, like say 10 rows, you'll probably be all right from any rain. But anything beyond that, you're going to get rained on, and it costs taxpayers $300 million.
Couldn't they just hit up Bunnings and say, "Look, guys, can you just send us a bit of corrugated iron and a few slabs of." Even just a few pieces of fucking 4x2 and just bolt them onto the end and just extend it out a little bit, put a bit of a warning on there, make it a bit longer.
Yeah, like it can't.
Bunnings can help out with that.
It can't cost huge amounts to make it a proper roof, can it? Like,
no. Look, I'm sure. Look, I know some people in Bradford who could probably help fix that stadium roof.
They need them hockey straps in Bradford.
I know, but they might have some ideas that can help.
But you would think that if you were spending $300 million to upgrade a stadium, right, and you're only adding, I think they were adding like 1,500 extra seats than were there previous. You would think that if there was a glaring problem with the stadium, such as like we're building a stadium in 2026 that only has a partial roof, that you would need to spend the extra to make it right. This Penrith football stadium upgrade's been a fucking disaster. It's a job that is, I dare say, not even half done when it's finished. And they really need to spend a good $200 to $250 million to just bring this up to where it should have been in the beginning. It's crazy to think you can spend that much money and you need to spend so much more to sort of finish the job. It's crazy.
I'd like to know who designed it because it looks atrocious.
I think that when it's done, it's going to be cool to have the steep angle on the 2 grandstands. I think that'll be pretty cool. And I think it's going to create good atmosphere. But the problem is it's 2 great big grandstands and then 2 hills on either end. Like, it's not done. It's not finished.
Yeah, it just looks weird.
Yeah, it really does. It's going to be, it's going to be strange to be at them games. Like, I was looking at the Manly Sea Eagles Stadium, which is crazy to be looking at Manly Stadium, and being like, oh. And that Bob Fulton stand that they built a couple of years ago on all of that asbestos in the North Sydney jersey, like, that's a nice enough little stand, that. And if you chuck that on the end of Penrith Football Stadium and it all costs $300 million, you'd be like, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, it's such a weird one. It's weird to think that straight away the Penrith Rugby League Club and anybody that used that stadium are going to have to immediately start campaigning for more money to fix the stadium.
It's almost like they've gone, you know what? We've seen Campbelltown Sports Stadium. Can we copy and paste that a few times on the hill at Penrith?
Yeah.
But it just looks outdated before it's even finished. It's just shitful.
Yeah.
Like the amount of money that's been pumped into it, just like, this is the best you can do. Did Benny Elias have some involvement in this?
Look, if this was the stadium upgrade that, say, a team had in 1983,
fair
with
enough.
an eye on, like, well, one day we'll build on it, like it kind of like what Lang Park was, that Lang Park was parts of their old stadium are built into the new one. And I say new one, it's been in its current configuration for 20 years now, but that's just so weird that it's so much money for such little extra seating, and then you look across and there's two hills. And the New South Wales Premier, who, is a fucking idiot, he was saying that people were really desperate to keep the hills, and people love going and watching footy on the hills and stuff. And it's like, I think in this day and age, people want a seat.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, we've had this argument we've had this comment a few times over about, we've got to stop thinking that suburban grounds, you've got to stop looking at them in this romantic lens all the time, because it's not workable anymore. The crowds that go to games of football, even though they're not massive compared to, say, AFL games, right? But they're massive compared to what they were in the 80s, where you might get 4,500, 5,000 people going to a game. Those suburban grounds can handle that. But now we're trying to cram 15, 20, 35,000 people into these suburban grounds. Then they just can't do it. And it's not comfortable to have 15,000 people at Leichhardt Oval when you've got, people trying to go there with their kids. It's just fucking stupid.
Look, no one that went to the Broncos versus Panthers game in round one, there's 45,000 people there. No one was saying, oh, this would have been good, but I wish I'd been able to sit on that hill. Like, people want modern facilities. It's 2026.
Yes.
And, this idea that, thousands and thousands and thousands of people want to pay money to go and sit on some fucking grass on a hill is just ridiculous.
That's exactly right. There's a reason why no one goes out there proposing that we play State of Origin at Oakey Jubilee.
Yeah.
So it's just, we've got to, the whole rugby league community that is so passionate about suburban grounds, they need to either adapt and understand that. And this has come from a historian who loves the history of the game, right? There comes a time when you go, you know what, this is no longer viable.
Mm-hmm.
We need to move to something bigger and better.
Mm-hmm.
The suburban grounds as they are right now, they're great for New South Wales Cup. They still work perfectly for that. And if you want to experience those old grounds and like that, then you go to New South Wales Cup. You can still watch like the Magpies and Balmain and Newtown and North and all those teams. You can still watch them play in that if that's what you want to go and see. But for the NRL, we are a professional sport. We're an elite sport. We're the biggest rugby league competition in the world. Can't be playing out of backyards with allotment sheds for stands.
No. You look at the Cowboys Stadium up in North Queensland, that's amazing. Their fans love it. Look at Lang Park. Lang Park, everyone says it's the best viewing experience to go and watch a game. There's no hills there. You look at the stadium, the SFS in Eastern Sydney, you're like, it's a really nice stadium. Nobody goes to that stadium and says, oh man, I wish we had some grass hills. There's a reason why modern stadiums don't have fucking grass hills. And the fact that we're spending $300 million on this, it's going to be an incomplete stadium, is an absolute disgrace. And I don't care what side of politics you're on in the New South Wales government. They're all the same. they're all crooks. And so all of these people have come together to give this terrible stadium to an area of Western Sydney. And the funny thing is that they'll be like, oh, but we gave the money in the first place. Like, you pour money into anything that happens in Eastern They will fucking get the bucket and pour it all over Eastern Sydney. And then Western Sydney wants a fucking stadium, and they'll be like, oh, well, we'll give you this. We'll give you less than half a stadium, and you should be grateful. It's like, fuck you. Oh, the people wanted Grass Hills. Fuck off, they did. They weren't saying that same shit to anybody in Moore Park.
This is true. Look, we've now got to a point now where people have realised that, Freaky does vote for the Greens, and that's unfortunate.
How dare you? How fucking dare you? I'll tell you who I vote for: the hunters and fishers, and I've done that for a number of times over now, and I don't do any hunting and fishing.
Well, I mean, hunting and fishing is to do with nature, which is what the Greens are all about. So yeah,
how dare you?
Oh man, what else has been going on in the world of rugby league?
Not huge amounts. Look, I focus on the footy, there's things that I see crop up in the corporate media that I'm like, that's incredible. I can't even imagine where they're going with these angles. It's like the thing with Michael Maguire that we've joked about, where they before the game between the Broncos and the Panthers, there were people in the corporate media that were saying, oh, he's losing the change rooms. He's losing the change room. So you can't really take any of that, into your day if you want to enjoy the game, because it's just garbage. One thing I did see this week was our tipping comp. Have you done our tipping comp yet? Have you joined it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? Did you put your tips in?
Yeah. I'm sure I did. Let me have a look.
Okay. Because I saw that I was in the top 25 of tippers after round one, and I was like, man, I'm confident. I think I've got a beat on this season.
Let me have a look. My tips. My round one results. I got 6 out of 8.
Okay.
So yeah, I was in there.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I think I also got 6 out of 8 from memory. I
picked the Cowboys and they failed. Not surprising. I picked Manly and they failed.
Okay. I think that the one I got wrong was I might have also done the Cowboys, and I think I picked the Roosters. I think they were the two that got me.
Right. Okay.
Should we do our tips for round 2 then?
We absolutely should.
Okay, yeah. So Thursday night.
And I've got the stats here too, so we can go through those with it.
Excellent. Thursday night, we've got the Broncos taking on the Parramatta Eels. Hard to not go for the Broncos in this one. The Eels looked pretty bad in round 1, and I think they'll get better as the season goes on, but I don't think they're making the finals.
Broncos have won just 2 of their last 7 games after being held to nil in the game previous.
Oh, wow.
And Parramatta have won 50 of their last 140 games played outside of New South Wales, and that goes back to 2001. Which means on the road outside of New South Wales, they've won 35% of their games since 2001.
It's I don't know whether that's all right or terrible.
It's dog shit.
Yeah. Like they should have gone better.
I'm expecting Brisbane to come out and put the sword to the Eels. Sorry, I think they're going to absolutely fucking belt them.
Does having Mitch Moses as your halfback have any effect on if you're a winning or a losing club over the course of a season?
Well, it means you're not going to win a grand final.
I think that's fair to say.
And given that they've already conceded 50 points, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah. They're already out of the hunt. So they may as well just pack up and just fucking walk off now and just save everyone's legs.
Look, he was the halfback at the West Tigers and didn't do anything there.
Well, he should have been the halfback at the Tigers. I said at the time that it should have been Moses at 7 and Brooks at 6.
But he was 5'8".
And they kept making him 5'8", and
Yeah.
he kept calling plays over the top of Brooks. And so Brooks was just this muted, stunted thing that just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Parramatta's spine is a bit of a mess at the moment because of all the changes going on there. I don't know. I get the feeling that Moses is frustrated because not enough of his team are doing what he needs them to do for them to be successful on the field week to week.
But is he part of the problem? Like, if say a Nathan Cleary moved to another club, that club would rightfully think, okay, we're going to be a winning team this year, just from him turning up. Or you think of Luai. Like, Luai goes to one of the worst teams in the league. Well, was the worst team in the league. And goes a long way to turn them into a winner. I just wonder if Mitch Moses actually doesn't have that much of an impact on whether his team wins or loses over the course of a whole year. Like, I think that maybe when he's at his best is when his team is great. But if his team isn't great, it's like he doesn't really have that much of an effect on them.
So you're suggesting he's a flat track bully?
Yeah, I guess I am. Yeah.
I think there is some merit to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can go along with that. There's been occasions where he's been able to get his side over the line off his own back.
Yeah, individual games, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely won individual games, but
it's not frequent.
Over the course of a year, I don't know that he really has any effect on whether you have a winning season.
Yeah, you want to compare what he does to, say, Daly Cherry Evans in his prime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
DCE in his prime, it didn't really matter who was around him. He would get your team going.
He made it work.
Yeah. He was a difference maker. I don't know that Mitch Moses is a difference maker.
Well, is he 30 now? So his ability to be a difference maker starts to go down a little bit now.
Yeah, at some point you are who you are.
Yeah. Maybe he needs Luke Brooks.
No one's ever said that ever.
Except Manly.
Except Manly, fucking idiots. We'll get to them. So the next game, Friday night, the Warriors versus Raiders. This is going to be a fucking good game.
Yeah, for this one, the Warriors have won back-to-back round 1 and 2 games in a season just 3 times, 2007, 2009, 2018. And Canberra have won 12 of their last 16 games outside of the ACT.
I think I'm going to go for the Warriors in this one.
Definitely going the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that, watching that Raiders game last week, which was crazy, Raiders versus Seagulls, it was absolutely insane. And the Raiders were a little bit lucky to get out of that one. And Manly didn't play that well. So I just think the Warriors will get the job done here.
Yeah, I agree. Next game is the Roosters versus the Bunnies.
Yes, the Bunnies playing at their home ground. Fantastic. The Bunnies had a giant win in week 1 over the Dolphins. I think I'm going for the Rabbitohs in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with South. 12 of the last 16 games between these two sides has had a margin of 10 or more points. That's come back to 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And the Roosters have won 18 of their last 26 round 2 games after having lost in round 1, and that goes back to 1968.
If the Roosters lose this, it's going to be a lot of panic stations, I think, about their season overall, and that'll be fun to watch.
Well, because the Roosters are a media favourite, we won't call it panic stations. We'll call it soul searching.
So Saturday, 3 p.m, your West Tigers. I know they've talked about their premiership chances. They've said that they're certainties to be top 14. They're taking on the Cowboys, your traditional rivals.
Apparently.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have won just 4 of their last 15 games at Leichhardt. However, 3 of those wins have been their last 4 visits there. The Tigers have won 6 of their last 9 games at Leichhardt. And this is the big one. The Cowboys have won their last 5 games against the Tigers by an average score of 46-22.
Jesus. You have to go for the West Tigers here.
After the way the Cowboys played last year and in round 1, I have zero faith in the Cowboys improving. And they should be able to. And I don't know what they're doing. I've never seen a team look so lost. They look like they are going through the motions every fucking game.
Yeah, it's really it's weird to see, and they've got so many quality players too. Like there's so many players there that they should be a top 6 team, I reckon. But just knowing how they're playing and what they're doing lately, it's just so bad. It's shocking. But in this game, I'll be looking forward to watching the West Tigers. I think that they're going to have a good season. And yeah, it's going to be a fun year for you, I reckon.
He's hoping. Next game is the Storm versus the Dragons. Now, the Dragons have won their last 2 games against the Storm. However, they've never, ever won 3 consecutive games against them. The Dragons have also won 8 of their last 14 games against the Storm when they played them outside of Victoria. And that goes back to 2008. And this game's in Wollongong. The Dragons have the wood on them.
I got to go for the Storm.
Absolutely go for the Storm. Fuck me. This is going to be brutal.
Yeah. Whenever I say the Dragons, all I think is Cole Flanagan, and that's it. That's it. It's all over.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that sentiment. He's, as the kids would say, he's mid.
He's like mid in fucking like New South Wales Cup. He's mid. Like he's just terrible.
Championship.
So bad.
He's championship. Panthers versus Sharks. Penrith have won 9 of their last 10 games against the Sharks. However, the Sharks have won 21 of their last 40 games away from Ocean Protect Stadium, which is not too shabby. That means they're just over 50% away from their home ground.
Yeah, that's pretty good. This one's in Bathurst, so it'll be interesting to see what the weather's like out there. But I think that this is actually a perfect time for these 2 teams. These 2 teams were the 2 that really, and I know the Storm put in a big performance against the Eels, but I just thought that the Panthers and Sharks were the 2 standout teams in round 1.
Trindle was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was. He was fantastic, and this is just a really good matchup between these 2 teams. I'm going to go for the Panthers just because I think that they'll see this as a little bit of an early season test for themselves against a team that they might end up facing in the finals. And I think that they will want to put one on the Sharks early on and give them something to think about. And I just think that if it comes a point where which of these teams is going to be able to extend themselves in a close game and get the job done, it'll be the Panthers, not the Sharks.
I agree with that. And I'm going to go for the Sharks.
Oh, why?
I think if the Sharks are ever going to beat Penrith, it's going to be at the start of the season. And the Sharks' attack looked on song. I know it was just against the Titans, but even little things that you need to do against every other team, like kick chase and kicking to corners, people being in the right position, in offense, rolling through the middle, all these things that they were doing it, and they were doing it well, and it wasn't clunky or clumsy. It looked like they were just in complete control, and they were dictating the way the game was going to be played. It was going to be played their way. And they're not going to have that same freedom and luxury against Penrith. But being confident after a big first-round win and knowing that everything is already where it needs to be, that's going to be a bigger test for Penrith than what Brisbane had last week for them. So, yeah, if the Sharks are ever going to beat Penrith, it's going to be like in the first few rounds of the season. So I'm just going to put my neck out there.
Okay.
You got to go for a few roughies every now and then.
Yeah, true. I wonder with Penrith, because Penrith looked really comfortable against the Broncos, right?
They were the best looking team in round one.
Yeah, they
Hands
looked
down.
like they did it within themselves, and they won 26-0 over the Premiers.
Completely in control.
Yeah, I wonder if, because last year they were sort of scrambling from about round 6 onwards because they had that terrible start. They were in last place after, 12 rounds? And so they just had to scramble for the whole year. I wonder if they'll get themselves comfortable this year, and if we start to see some of those old Penrith things that they've done on this run in the past, where, you'll come into a game like this, where it's like, oh, this is going to be interesting, and then Penrith snatches someone's soul. Do you remember when they did that against the Sharks at Shark Park? I think it was a couple of seasons ago, where it was like, I don't think they let the Sharks get out beyond their own 30-metre line in one half.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was. I've never seen anything like it. I don't expect it to happen in this game, but I wonder if we start seeing that happen again. Because if we start seeing that happen again, everyone's going to shit their pants and be like, oh my God, we got to deal with this fucking team again. Like, they're back. Like, fucking Jason has dragged himself from the bottom of Crystal Lake, and the fucker's back.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's scary good watching them when they're on song.
Yeah. Well, you watch them and you're like, when they're in that mood, and you got to be a great team to be able to do that sort of shit to opposition teams, good opposition teams too. And I mean, when you see something like that, it's like, man, what am I even watching?
How am I supposed to deal with this?
Yeah.
The next game is, oh my God, Manly versus Newcastle.
Two teams, and they've only got one decent half between them.
Fuck, what a horrible... Manly have won 19 of their 23 games against the Knights at Brookvale. And Manly have conceded at least 20 points in each of their last 8 games at Brookvale.
I'm actually really looking forward to this game, hey?
Oh, man, I am just not.
Yeah,
What time is it on? No, I'll be at work. What a fucking shame.
I'm really looking forward to it. And I think it's because the Seagulls are such a scatterbrained rugby league club that make decisions I do not understand. They've got a few very good players in their team. Neither of them are in their halves. Like, this is having these two fucking halves, right? It's like you don't want to win in the regular season or the finals, and you just want to make sure of it. So you pick the worst fucking players in both of those, times of the season.
They've decided to play rugby league on God mode.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so I think, much like last week, we could see anything out of the Seagulls. And the Knights, they had a pretty good win in round 1, albeit over the Cowboys. And who fucking knows what's going to happen in this game? I feel like this is going to be one of those games where we're going to be like, I don't understand what's going on.
Yep.
And I love games like that sometimes.
It's going to be it's going to be a car crash.
Yeah, it is.
You're just going to be glued to it.
I think I'm going to tip the Seagulls at home because of the Knights' bad record there.
Yeah, I'm going with Manly.
But damn, I just hope that whatever happens, it's crazy and stupid, and we end up at the end of that game going like, I don't even know what the fuck that was.
So the last game of the round, Dolphins versus Titans. Now, the Dolphins have won 5 of their 6 games against the Titans so far. How's this for a stat, though? In the last 22 games for both sides, the Dolphins have scored 707 points, and the Titans have conceded 711 points.
Oh, wow, that's pretty close.
That's 32 points per game each.
Wow. The Dolphins might score 60 in this one, hey?
So I've tipped the Dolphins to win this one, and on the NRL tipping, this is when we've got to pick your margin. I've got the margin set at 52.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
I thought I was going. I think I put my margin at something like 20 or 22, something like that.
Yeah, you see, when it comes to picking margins, I'm confident putting my dick on the line and going all in on something massive.
You put your dick and your balls on the line. Jesus.
I've got a leg in there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when I did the tipping last year, I tipped that for all the tip your margin ones. Because remember, I did all my tips at the start of the year before the board kicked off.
Yeah.
And I tipped the margin for every game to be 60 points. Got none of them right.
So you're being conservative in this one.
I thought, you know what? I'm going to be smart. I'm going to try and play this intelligently this time around.
It's impossible to tip the Titans in this one. Absolutely impossible. So
the Titans are going to be a hard team to pick this year.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a pretty unique circumstance to pick them. They find a couple of good young players, they make some changes, they come up against a team with terrible injuries, or Origin just takes everyone out of their team. I'm trying to think they just feel like a big step below absolutely everyone else.
Yes. Which is sad, but that's the way it's going to be just for this year, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the footy tips for this week.
Yeah. And the Bulldogs obviously have a bye, so it'll be interesting to see what Phil Gould does this week to find some tension for himself. Should we talk about Formula One?
We should.
Did you watch the race?
I've seen highlights of it because it was on while I was at work. But the one thing that stood out for me was obviously the first thing I saw before I saw any highlights was the Formula One social media going on about how many overtakes there were.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? Okay. I've heard enough about these cars to go, yeah, you know what? They don't sound great. And so I watched the highlights, and I swear every overtake was just someone using their battery at a different time to the car behind them. And so they just got overtaken. And then later on the lap, when the other one was using their battery at the wrong time, they just went past them again. I was like, This is not overtaking.
No.
This is just being in a slightly faster moving lane in gridlock.
Yeah, and that's
hateful.
That's exactly what it was. I don't know that I actually saw really a proper overtake. I mean, at the start, the Ferraris were great off the line.
Oh, can I stay from the start? That start looked so fucking slow.
It did. It looked weird, didn't it? Well, the batteries don't kick in until I think they hit 50 k's an hour, and then they're able to be brought in off the start. And the Ferraris, everyone knew they'd worked something out in the preseason with their start. So the Ferraris jumped out of nowhere and got to the front or up front. And from that point on, it really just was a case of like, I dump my battery going down this straight. Now I've got to recover it. So that lets the guy behind me who's going to dump his battery to get past me. And it wasn't like people were getting overtaken because they'd outbrake themselves, or there weren't skillful overtaking moments in this race. It was all just battery management. And then once the race settled down, it was literally just complete battery management. There was basically not much happening in the race. The only thing to focus on was really, had Ferrari messed up their pit stop strategy, which, spoiler alert, yeah, of course they did. It's Ferrari. But that was it. There was no tension in this race at all. And it's going to be really interesting to see if they make any changes to the rules to bring in actual skill-based overtaking again, or if they're just locked into this for the rest of the year. Because, you may have watched Formula One for longer than we care to fucking mention. And I've never seen a race where I'm like, well, these two overtook each other 6 or 7 times and absolutely none of it had to do with skill. It was just purely who had the battery at the right time.
Yeah, and that's just hateful. Look, they've taken so much away from the drivers. Because even the battery usage now is partly automated. So it's not the drivers deciding when they're going to use it. Same with the new automatic DRS type thing, or straight line mode, or whatever it is. That's all done away from the driver. The driver doesn't instigate that by pressing a button. So it's just taken more away from them. The drivers are now passengers. The big thing that annoyed me about this too was the gaps. So there's 2 Mercedes drivers. Russell won, Antonelli was just 2.97 seconds behind him. Leclerc was 15.5 seconds behind Antonelli, with Hamilton like less than half a second behind Leclerc.
Mm-hmm.
Lando Norris, the world champion, he was another 51 seconds behind Hamilton, and Verstappen was 54 seconds further back. And then everyone from seventh down got lapped.
Yeah, and look, Verstappen started from the back, so you'd hope that in the next race, it qualifies better. Well, its car doesn't dump itself. That was the other weird thing a bit out of this, was that Verstappen's car just dumped itself into the wall, and Piastri's on the warm-up lap did something similar. And I have a feeling that Lando Norris, his car was turned down a little bit based on whatever had happened to Piastri's car. I think they were playing a little bit safe with his car for this race, so that's why it's so far back. But yeah, it was not an enjoyable race at all. And to point to, like, there was overtaking, it wasn't skill-based overtaking, it wasn't good driving, it was literally who had the battery at the right time. And that's not what Formula One's supposed to be about.
No.
And the weird thing is, I think that the chassis, they were being able to race closer than they were last year in the pure ground effects cars. So that was good. And the cars being smaller and a little bit more twitchy was good. You could see that. So I think, weirdly enough, the chassis for these cars are really good for racing. But because they're having to do this engine and battery management, and that's the be all and end all of everything, it just kills the sporting aspect of it,
Oh, absolutely. The other two takeaways from this is Cadillac are a long way off the pace.
Mm-hmm.
So Bottas didn't finish. Perez got lapped 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And Aston Martin their car is not even. It's not going to get a pink slip at this rate.
No.
Lance Stroll got lapped 15 times. And
sounds worse than it is.
Alonso didn't even finish. Alonso did 21 laps. Stroll did 43. And it wasn't because I'm not defending Lance Stroll. I don't rate him anything at all as a driver. But it wasn't because he was like just driving that crap. Both those drivers have been saying that the vibrations coming through the steering wheel are so intense, their hands are going numb, and they're scared that they're going to be doing nerve damage. It is that bad. And they showed both those cars during testing, and the vibrations were so bad, bits of the car were falling off. You're like, fuck. You're going to take this to the first race in 8 days' time. And I can't even do a lap without bits of it just shaking off. It's got the death rattles.
Apparently, I read a couple of stories this week which were crazy. The first one was that Aston Martin didn't actually go to the Honda factory until November last year, which is absolutely insane. That is so insane. And when they got there, they found that the vast majority of people that previously worked in Honda's F1 engine manufacturing, most of them had gone and been put on solar energy systems in a different part of the company. So most of the people that were in the F1 area were new to it, which to me is, all of that, every single aspect of that is completely insane. I don't think I've ever seen where there's been an engine manufacturer or even one of the chassis manufacturers that have made such a bad decision or choice or whatever you want to call it, that the cars literally can't do a full race. Like, we've seen some terribly slow cars, terribly slow chassis. They haven't been able to do the 107% time, so they couldn't start a race. But to have one that cannot finish a race because it will tear itself apart it's crazy, especially in 2026. And Honda must be, you would think that they're furious, but they were the ones that made these decisions that got them in this place. So it's incredible.
It is. The other thing too is Audi. I believe they've got their own engine.
Yeah.
Looks very good. Like, it's competitive.
Yeah, they've done a solid job, and obviously they start off with Sauber, everything that Sauber had, and they've been working last year. You know, the team was called Sauber, but I think that as the season went on, people were like they're just keeping the Sauber name so that they can start fresh next year.
Well, also if they're not going to be strong, you might as well have Sauber taking all the shit for being crap.
Yeah, exactly. And it's they looked all right. They looked all right. They've done a pretty damn good job, which was good to see. Cadillac is obviously coming from a much different starting point. They're basically starting at zero. So you got to give them some slack. But yeah, I thought Audi was pretty good considering.
Yeah, Audi were good, very good. I was very impressed with how competitive their engine was from the get-go.
What was your thought when you saw that Piastri had smashed his car on the formation? It wasn't even the formation lap. It was just a lap to go to the grid initially.
The parade lap?
Yeah, I guess it's the parade lap, yeah.
First thing I thought was, like, every time you've seen something like that, the first thing I thought was there been a little, like, few drops of rain or something like that? Because the way the car behaved, and Verstappen's was the same during qualifying, it looked like it hit like a dead patch on the track because it just violently went the other direction. Because both occasions they weren't cornering aggressively or trying to get around another car. Like they were about to, I think Verstappen was about to come into a fast right-hander.
Yeah, it was coming into the first corner actually.
Yeah, and one of the rear tires just fucking bit into the tarmac and just locked him and spun him around. And Piastri's wasn't too much different, but it was at a much slower speed, which was just weird to see.
Well, he said that they had a problem with the battery coming out of the pits, and he wasn't getting any power from the battery. And he was going around, and then he got to that corner, and basically he had more power delivered through his tires than he would have had on a qualifying lap in that corner. And so obviously that's going to just spin the car and spit into the wall.
It's fucking nuts that they've got all these people sitting on computers who are managing all of this, and they can't manage how much power is going through the car at any one time and through any of the four wheels. And that aspect hasn't changed hugely. The problem that has changed a fair bit is they can't allow the batteries to get to 100% full. That's a problem. So they have to find ways to dump some of the battery charge during a lap. And so you're seeing a bit of lift and coasting going on, and it's not racing anymore.
No.
Like they're having to downshift to try and lose battery power instead of trying to go fast. It's just the weirdest, most backwards thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and in the past, Formula One cars have always had something you had to manage. It's just the nature of the beast. Whatever it is, you can't go, you can't go above a certain amount of revs. You can't go below a certain amount of revs in corners. You can't have to use this gear in this corner, that gear in another corner. We've seen all sorts of things like that. But this sort of thing where, you've got your engine, but then you've got this incredible amount of potential energy that will either be there or it won't be, and they don't yet know whether it's going to be there or it won't be all the time. And so you can just be coasting around and all of a sudden your battery dumps all of its power immediately. And so, you just lose control out of nowhere. Or you go for your battery and it's just, for whatever reason, it's not there. And you have to pull your car over to the side and finish the race with the marshals. I don't like it. I really don't like it. And I've had no problems with being able to have the extra power available on a passing maneuver in the past in certain sections, but the way that this engine configuration is, it feels very artificial, and it feels like, it's almost like we're watching a tech demo rather than a race. And I'm not interested in watching a tech demo.
It's weird. It's almost like they've decided we want to have racing, but we want to make it the safest racing we can possibly have. So we're going to make sure that overtakes can be done easily with minimal risk. And this will mean that we've got all these overtakes, which is great because we can say, oh, look, there's all these passes. It's going to be fantastic. But none of the passes are legitimate overtaking moves. They're all just passing a slow car on a road.
Well, one of the reasons why they were able to get the extra engine manufacturers in was because of these rule sets where it's like basically a 50-50 split between the combustion engine and the battery. And so the manufacturers definitely want this, and they want it so that they can experiment on it and get into cars that we drive every day.
That's right.
I just don't know that it's the place to do it in Formula One.
No, given that the move is towards electric cars, we have Formula E. Do it there.
Yeah.
I don't mind having some electric aspect to these cars, but they've gone too far now, and it's made them shit.
Yeah, if they had more of a battery capacity so that you were using it, more like if they were racing around and we weren't even thinking about when they were deploying the battery, it was just being deployed as everyone else did, we probably wouldn't be thinking about it. But because of the limited way it's being deployed, I think that that's an issue. If they could store more capacity so that they were able to use it more, and then I think it would allow for there to be more natural racing rather than this. It's almost like passing a football back and forward at the moment. Yeah. Where you just take your turn. You've used your battery, I use mine. Now you use your battery and you get past me again. We don't want it like that because that's not sport. That's not the sporting aspect. And, as I said, I don't think Formula One is the place to push this concept to this level. And there's been talk that they'll look at maybe making some changes. I think it was even after the Japanese Grand Prix. Or talking about it after the Chinese Grand Prix or something like that. So, but I don't think that they're going to make massive changes. I think that we're kind of stuck with this.
Yeah, I think the only changes I'll make is maybe relaxing one or two things here or there to try and, I suppose, make the cars safer. So, because at the moment, the big unsafe thing is the power just turning up randomly on the wheels and kicking the cars off the track.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of that during practice and qualifying and in the race as well on the weekend. I think they're going to want to try and do something where teams can have a bit more control over when that power gets delivered to the wheels perhaps, or something like that, or the drivers can have more of a say on that instead of it being as automated as it is, because I think at the moment it's an absolute mess. It hasn't made for a good Grand Prix. Australia's always been pretty decent. It's got a few really amazing fast corners on it. And it's not like most of the street tracks where the road is fucking narrow. Like, they've got plenty of runoff area. The road's pretty wide. It's a good street track. And they completely nullified it with this. So once we get to the street tracks, these races are going to be, you're just going to have a bunch of Monacos like last year where no one overtakes anyone. It's just a big procession.
Yeah, and I mean, what the fuck are these cars going to be like at Monaco? Like, I can't even imagine.
Well, that's the thing. If the power thing going through the wheels keeps happening, you're going to have a bunch of cars smashing into walls.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
With no margin for error.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll have it so that maybe you can only deploy all power in a couple of, or two or three different parts of the track.
Well, the DRS zone that they used to have would be the perfect opportunity because at least it's a straight bit of road.
Yeah, and I wonder if, like, that would at least bring some strategy into the battery usage, so that, like, you might on the start finish straight, you might use all your battery to get past someone, and then you've got to try and keep them behind you, knowing that they've got their chance to use it once in their slap too.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be something like that. But We'll wait and see. But I didn't like what I saw in that first race, unfortunately, and it was really disappointing.
It was bad. It was real bad. So this weekend they do have the China race.
Is it China or Japan?
China this week.
Okay, I thought it was Japan for some reason.
And then Japan is 27th, 29th of March, which is, 2 weeks away.
Okay.
And then they go to Bahrain 2 weeks after that.
I think that they've already cancelled Bahrain and...
Wouldn't surprise me.
Was it Saudi Arabia, I think, as well?
Yeah.
They said that they've already cancelled 2 of them anyway.
Cancelled them, or are they going to reschedule them?
No, I heard that they cancelled them. They decided against rescheduling them.
Wow, eh?
So no dreams of Eastern Creek Raceway hosting the Formula One. Damn it.
Damn. That sucks. Maybe they could do the track somewhere else. Like, they've got this thing about having the street circuits go through iconic parts. So why not just have it go around the Sydney Harbour Bridge and Circular Quay?
Look, if they could work out a way to make a fun racetrack where it went over the Harbour Bridge. I think I saw a thing once that said that the lane configurations and the undulations in the Harbour Bridge made that impossible.
Yes.
Because otherwise that would have been amazing.
Well, I mean, if they can't use Bathurst for the same reasons, no way they can use... they can't use Sydney Harbour Bridge.
It would have been cool if they brought in some of the races in Europe, though, that they kind of put by the wayside, like Hockenheim or something like that. Like, just replace those tracks in the Middle East with those ones that, have been great racetracks in the past that they get rid of because progress.
Yeah. Oh, man. We spent so long waiting for the F1 season to come around. When it turns up, you're just like, aww.
Yeah, it sucked, especially with Piastri out. Like, I feel so sorry for all of the people in Australia that went down to Melbourne just because they were in Melbourne. That's it. That's the end of the quote.
I mean, this is the thing. When I left work, because on Sunday, it was 6 p.m. when I left work, so the race was already over.
Yeah.
And everyone was coming home.
Yeah.
I was walking to the train. I just saw these people wearing the orange and Oscar Piastri stuff, and they just looked absolutely miserable, heads down, stuff like that. And I went, oh, Piastri didn't win. Because I had no idea at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I sit down on the train, I get my phone and have a look on there, and I went, oh, fuck me, not only did he not win, he didn't even start.
Yeah. Look, I would have, if I'd have paid all that money to go down there and he dumped it in the wall before the start, I would have felt like the biggest dickhead in the world. And it would have been for no real reason, but I still would have felt that way. And I just felt so sorry for all of those people that were just geared up for him to race and do well. And I can't imagine what they all felt like. And it's expensive, it's expensive to go to the race. So, yeah, I felt very, very sorry for everyone that turned up to see him.
Absolutely. Now, look, there was one other bit of F1 news.
Mm-hmm.
Max Verstappen has confirmed that he will make his debut at the Nürburgring 24 Hours in May with Mercedes driving the AMG GT3 car.
Oh, nice. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Shows you how much passion he has for Formula One this year. Fuck it. I'd rather drive a Mercedes for 24 hours around that green hell track, as they like to call it.
It'd be cool if he was part of the winning team. That would be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And he's just doing it because it's something on his bucket list.
Yeah. I think eventually, I would be actually shocked if he doesn't do the Bathurst 1000 one year. Like, maybe not until he retires from Formula One, but when he goes and does a lot of the online race and stuff just for enjoyment, he uses Bathurst.
Yes.
And so I would just be shocked if at some point he wasn't racing around Bathurst trying to win the Bathurst 1000 or the 12-hour event at the very least.
I think you'd want to do the big ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would be awesome.
It would be so cool. It would be amazing. Oh,
well, speaking of amazing, that was an amazing episode we punched out there.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the footy this weekend. Man, there's a couple of teams that are already, they're starting to be like things that you're like, how's their season going to play out? And it's cool. It's cool that it's happened so early in the year.
It is indeed. And look, it's now up to everybody else. That's their job now to try and see what they can get Zach Lomax to do for the smallest amount of money they possibly can.
Yeah. Maybe people can email us and tell us what they think they could convince him to do.
That's a brilliant idea. Get on the emails, people. Have we? I'm not going to read them now, but have we had some emails for the next episode?
No emails this week.
We've given you a bit of a guide. What could you get Zach Lomax to do for unders?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, let's wrap this one up. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you check us out on all the socials. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and like everything on YouTube as well. That would be fantastic. And we'll catch us all next time.